Hi, I'm C.C. Péan, and this is Reclaiming Your Health. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Reclaiming Your Health on the Reclamation Project. I am C.C. Péan, your host and the resident chef. This evening, we are going to be making the most delicious and luscious black beans you have ever had. On the Reclamation Project's page, it said Péan's Black Beans. I call these Caribbean black beans. It is somewhat of a love letter to my heritage because it's full of all these yummy flavors that I grew up with. And this is such a great dish because it can be used in so many different ways. If you are a member of the Seventh-day Adventist denomination, you are very familiar with haystacks. I use these beans on my haystacks, and whenever I prepare my haystacks with these beans, people, they're just that delicious. So there's a few things I want to talk about. I'm going to talk about the nutritional components of black beans, and I'm going to touch on a few other things that I wanted to make you all aware of. So if you saw in the recipe, I referenced using canned beans, and if you did, to make sure that it did not have a BPA lining. Now, you may have heard this in conversation. I don't know if you're clear on it, but I'm going to tell you exactly why you do not want BPA lining in any of your canned foods. BPA is short for bisphenol A. Bisphenol A is an industrial chemical. It's an epoxy resin that is used on cans to maintain the structure of the cans and make sure that what's ever in the can doesn't get out of the can. The flip side of that is over time, that epoxy resin, that industrial chemical, will leach into your vegetables, your beans, whatever is in that can, it's going to leach in there. Now, the FDA says that small amounts of BPA are not going to bother you. If you're somebody who's ever heard me speak, you've heard me say, do not trust the FDA. The Food and Drug Administration is not looking out for your best interest. So I would encourage you, if you are somebody who buys canned foods, you can lessen the amount of canned foods that you buy. And in addition, make sure, I don't know if you can see this, I've got these lights on me, but I bought these beans from Sprouts, and right here in the corner it says non-BPA lining. So I'm going to encourage you, when you buy canned foods, if and when you do, always make sure that you buy things that do not have a BPA lining. Another note, this BPA is something that's found in a lot of plastics. Hello, India. Oh my goodness, I'm so glad that you're tuned in. Plastics, anything that is plastic has BPA in it. Do not warm up anything. First of all, you shouldn't be using a microwave. That might be a little extreme for people. So let me say, if you are ever using anything hot, warming anything up, never do it in plastic. Because what happens is over time, plastic breaks down and that chemical industrial epoxy resin, when you put something in a microwave and you turn on that heat, guess what happens? It gets into your food. Why do we care about any of this? Well, because epoxy resin has shown to do major damage on the prostate and brain of fetuses, infants and children. It affects children's behavior, and it is also linked to blood pressure, high blood pressure, and some cancers. So when we're eating, you don't want to make a beautiful dish of these yummy black beans, and you're canceling out all the good because you've got this BPA leaching into your system. Okay, so that's just a little note for you today on why I emphasize non-BPA lining. So the other thing you can do, you can just buy dry beans. Excellent, never use a microwave. One of our watchers in India said they never use a microwave. And you know, really what I have learned is that just take your time. When you're eating a meal anyway, you should take a deep breath. You should sit down. You should focus on what you're eating. You're giving thanks for what you're eating. You take your time to eat. I have found for me that with a microwave, I want to eat right now. So I throw it in the microwave and I eat and I slow down, take your time, and eat your food. It's better for your digestion and everything. So as much as you can, stay away or limit your microwave use. There's a lot of things I can say about microwaves, but I'll just stop with that. So you can also buy dried beans. They're very easy. You can soak them overnight. You can put them in a pressure cooker. You can put them in an Instapot. However you want to do it, follow the directions on the bag. You can also do black beans in dry. But just so you know, there is a way that you can use canned. So what we're going to do tonight is we're going to use canned. So I have some canned beans here that I have drained. Okay, and so we have thyme and garlic. We have some red pepper flakes for a little bit of heat if you want that. We've got some coriander. We've got some cumin. And what's going to bring all this lusciousness together? It's some coconut milk. Now, this is full fat. I'm using just under a quarter of a cup. Feel free to use reduced fat coconut milk. It won't be as creamy, but it's negligible. So if you have any concerns about fat or anything like that, go for the reduced fat coconut oil. Also, we've got some beautiful bell peppers. This is eating the rainbow for real, isn't it? So we've got these beautiful bell peppers. I've got an onion, and I've got an avocado we're gonna garnish with. This is gonna be yummy, and it's so quick. It's a fast meal. That's one of the things that I wanted to be sure to share with you all, were dishes that weren't complicated, things that you could, if you were an advanced cook, it's no big deal. If you were a starting cook, you can get this done with no problem. So you may wonder why I said do not use green bell peppers. Well, I don't like green bell peppers. There's a reason why I don't like them. I don't know if you're aware of it or not, but green bell peppers are green because they're picked when they're very, very young. Enough time passes and they'll turn into these. So green bell peppers have somewhat of a bitterness to them that I don't like. And I find that when people cook with them, or when I have cooked with them, I have to do even more seasoning to kind of like cover that bitterness. And you know, I'm somebody who doesn't like to eat a lot of salt and things like that. So I go for straight sweet bell peppers when I cook. So let's get started. We're just going to use a little bit of this onion. And please, any questions you have, please shoot them to me. I'm so tickled that we have a viewer from India. My great-grandmother was Madras Indian. She was from Guyana, South America, but she was Madras Indian. And she had a thick, thick, thick braid that went all the way down her back, Sarah McLeod. And it's interesting because Sarah McLeod was known to be this incredible cook. And so I feel like I am somewhat hearing her spirit on, and that I have chosen cooking as my profession. So we've got some onions. Just gonna use a little bit of bell pepper. So I know you've heard this saying, eat the rainbow. Definitely eat colorful foods. They're full of phytochemicals and nutrients, and all kinds of antioxidants and wonderful things that taste good, and they're also helping to fight disease and keep things at bay in your bodies. When we eat, we need to be really conscious about what we're putting in our body. Okay, so we've got these bell peppers, and I'm just kind of like coarsely chopping these. I'm cutting them evenly though, and you all know why I'm cutting them evenly. If I had a speaker, you would probably talk back to me and tell me. We cut them in even pieces because we want them to cook at the same time. And also it makes a beautiful dish at the end. Got those done, and I'm going to get to these. Okay. All righty. So we put some oil in this pan. I'm using avocado oil, which is great for your heart health. It's not something, it's quite pricey, but I like to use it because if I'm going to use oil, I want a heart healthy oil. This is one of these, and this is a high heat oil as well. You can go up to 500 degrees and nothing is going to happen to it. So it's a great product to have. Avocado oil and grapeseed oil are my choices. Okay. So I'm just going to drop all of this in the pan. We're going to wait a little bit on our garlic because we don't want our garlic to burn. There's nothing worse than burnt garlic. So let's talk a little bit about black beans. What's the big deal about black beans? Well, one of the interesting things about black beans that I found is it's in so many different cultures. In Asian culture, in Chinese culture in particular, there's black beans are used, black bean sauces are used. They make buns with black beans in them. I think that in Mexican cuisine it's used. Caribbean cuisine it's used. Black beans have a lot of versatility, and they are incredibly good for you. So let me tell you the good stuff about black beans. They are high in fiber. One of the things that Hippocrates said was that all disease begins in the gut. That is so true. It is so important. Our digestive health is so important, and I really think it's under appreciated, and enough attention is not paid to it. There's several things that I find us doing that I think are really crazy. For example, if you eat something and it gives you heartburn, why do you take a pill to get rid of the heartburn so you can keep eating it? Stop eating it. That's a sign that it's something that you shouldn't be eating. And all that inflammation and things, that all affects the process of breaking down your foods and your dietary tract. So the great thing about black beans is that it's full of fiber, so it's going to keep you regular. Okay? Heart health. I have some notes here, so you can look them down. I wanted to make sure I give you the right information. Heart health. It's great for heart health. It lowers your blood cholesterol. The potassium that's in black beans can aid in any kind of inflammation with your blood. If you have diabetes or if you have high blood pressure, the potassium lowers the sodium in your blood. It has magnesium and iron. What's the big deal about magnesium? I don't know if you're aware of this or not, but one of the main ways your foods get magnesium is from the soil, what it's grown in. Well, what's the issue with that? The issue with that is that we are living in a world where our soil is so overplanted, it's so overfarmed, that the nutrients that we used to be able to get, we're not getting them anymore. So whenever we can get them in other food sources, that's a great thing to do. I'm just gonna add my garlic. So magnesium and iron, Again, iron is great for your blood health, and actually people of the diaspora, we have higher than usual incidences of anemia. So it's a good thing to incorporate that. So we've got our garlic cubes in there, our garlic cloves in there. We're just gonna cook this up a little longer. Smelling delicious in here. What else? Cancer prevention. Because of the soluble fiber, it has cancer prevention. It has antioxidants, anti-inflammatories, and phytochemical compounds. All of these are in this yummy black bean. So it's eating smarter, right? Okay, the next thing, it has folate and vitamin B9. Now, if you're not married, I need you to cover your ears. Are you covering your ears? Okay. It enhances sexual function and fertility. It has molybdenum, which is a rare mineral that is known to reduce erectile dysfunction. So gentlemen, you don't need Viagra, you need black beans. Tell your wife to make you black beans. Everything that we need for our health, the master creator has given it to us. Everything that we need. Everything. Okay, so we've got these. We've got our bell pepper and our onion and our garlic. And I just added my black beans. I'm gonna stir that up a little bit. Okay. To this, I'm gonna put my thyme in there now. Some of you may choose to do this and take the little thyme leaves off. I just throw the whole thing in there. I don't mind it, it drives my husband crazy. But I leave it in there, and if you don't like it, you can just pull it out. You put that in there. I'm gonna use a little bit of my cumin. Probably a half teaspoon, and for my coriander, I'm gonna go in there, about another half teaspoon there. Stir this up a little more. All right, and here comes the coconut milk. See how luscious and thick that is? And we're just gonna stir that through. Oh, and the next thing I wanted to tell you about black beans, after we talked about, singles, you can unplug your ears now. The next thing is, it supports prenatal health. It's a great thing as well, right? So black beans, they just hit different. Okay, now these beans were reduced to sodium, but we're still gonna need a little bit of salt in there. So I'm gonna do a pinch of my magic salt. And I'm gonna use a few red pepper flakes to add a little spice to it. These are Caribbean black beans after all. So I'm gonna turn down the heat and let this just cook through a little more. And we're gonna talk a little bit more about beans. So, I think beans get a bad rap. People talk about, it messes up their system. If you slow cook beans, when you buy them canned, you're not gonna worry about them at all. But if you slow cook beans, if you pressure cook them, if you slow cook them, you're not gonna really have that issue with flatulence and gas. The health benefits of beans outweigh the negatives, which is that one thing that people tend to talk about. So incorporate beans in your diet. They're inexpensive, They're either available everywhere, all kinds of beans. My husband is Haitian American, and when we first started dating, he told me Haitians use every single bean out there. They use it in rice, they use sauce pois, all types of ways. And I've actually fallen in love with beans, even more so because there's so many different uses for them. This right here, you can very easily take this, you can put it in a blender with a little broth, a little vegetable broth. Just turn that blender on, and pinto beans have great benefits. So someone has asked me, do pinto beans have the same benefits as black beans? They have a lot of similar benefits. I would have to look into pinto, but black beans, chickpeas or garbanzo beans, lentils, those are the ones that are the most beneficial. Those are the ones that you hear over and over and over again that you really should incorporate into your diet. But as I was saying, this could very easily go into a blender with a little bit of vegetable broth, and you just turn that blender on and you've got a delicious soup. You can make a dip out of this if you want to. Like I said, this can go into, I make a black bean enchilada where I take tortillas and a little bit of enchilada sauce, and I just layer them with this. Delicious, delicious. I use cashew cheese on that. These black beans can be used, you can put them in a Buddha bowl. A Buddha bowl tends to have a grain, some type of green, a legume. And so I would do quinoa, I would do some kale, I would do some black beans, maybe a little bit of hummus and avocado. You cook a full, delicious meal. These beans have so much flavor that, you know, they work with anything. And as I mentioned earlier, if you are familiar with haystacks, I promise you, try this. You will not be sorry. Okay, so those are pretty much done. It's pretty much done now. And you know what? Look at this. It's 22 minutes. Now I have got to keep you all company for a few more minutes because I'm finished early. So now we're gonna plate this. You know, I love to plate. So we're gonna put some of these black beans. I'm gonna work around my time spent and fill in there. And parents, let me tell you, some of you may be a little wary about using beans and things with your children, but something that I learned actually from my sister-in-law who raised her children vegan, like my nephew didn't like cake. He thought it was too sweet. So my point is, you can mold your children's taste buds in such a way. So while you may think they wouldn't like beans, you'd be surprised. So we've got our beans in there. I'm gonna put a beautiful piece of avocado on here. I am a true dyed-in-the-wool Californian. I love avocado. I love avocado. I literally cannot have enough of it. It's just lusciousness on top of lusciousness. Add this. You probably don't need all of that. Put a little avocado on top of that. You know what I always say about my cilantro? If my best friend is watching, she hates cilantro. And I know there's some of you that have an issue with cilantro. Cilantro and lavender are two herbs that some people, when they eat it, it translates different. So to my brother and to my best friend, when they eat cilantro, it tastes like soap to them. So I know everybody can't do it, but if you like it, use it frequently. because it is a great addition to your diet. It's just great for get those metals out. So this evening, I am having my black beans. I got some tortilla strips. How pretty is that? So these are crunchy, and it keeps in line with the whole, island Caribbean theme. Caribbean black beans, avocado and cilantro for that. And these yummy, crispy plantain chips. This can be served with tortilla chips, plantain chips, cassava chips. It can go over brown rice. It can go over white rice. It can go over quinoa. It could go over farro. You can eat it with pita. There's so many different ways that you can eat this one dish. It looks, doesn't it look good, Melissa? It's super easy. Please try it. Yes, Yolanda is saying that she might have it for dinner tonight. Literally fixed in less than 20 minutes. One of the things that I will tell you all to do, that I learned this in cooking school, well, I didn't really do it tonight, but when you're gonna cook, take time to get all your stuff together. Take time to, Rona, take time to get all your stuff together so that when it's time to move, you can move it. You don't have to go here and get that. The next step is not only get your stuff together, but cut it. Cut it and have it just sitting there and waiting so you can move very quickly. If you do that, you will have this dish made in under 20 minutes. I promise you, it will not disappoint. This will be something that's going to be in regular rotation in your home. So you all, I was waiting to see if anybody had any questions. I don't see any questions. Yummy. And when you make this, feel free to add more pepper flakes. Feel free to add more cumin or cilantro. Some people like to add a little cinnamon to add a little sweetness to it. Experiment. When you cook, experiment. You never know what you will like unless you try it. So I encourage you to make this dish. Have your family try it. You see, I'm tearing this up. See what they have to say? While you're doing this, you're lowering your blood pressure. You're putting antioxidants, phytochemicals in your system, anti-inflammatories in your system. You're adding fiber to your diet, so it's going to be more regular. It's better for your heart health. If you have any kind of erectile dysfunction, gentlemen, this helps fight that. If you're pregnant, ladies, this is something that's going to help with folate. It's going to give you what you need for your baby to be born healthy. It keeps congenital defects out of the way. There's so many things that are beneficial with black beans, and they're yummy. So, thank you for joining me this evening. The plantain chips, I actually got these from Publix, but you can buy them anywhere. You can buy them anywhere. Trader Joe's probably does have them, but I got these from Publix, and that's what's so wonderful now, is that so many international things you can get everywhere. There used to be a time when that was difficult. So, oops. Try different things, reinvent things. Stay curious, but eat from the rainbow. Well, thank you for joining me. See you next week on Reclaiming Your Health. Bye-bye.